Trump's freezing billions for blue states, threatening mass Fed firings. Rep. Richie Torres calls it extortion, not leadership. Plus, plunging Israel support in a Bronx collapse miracle. Is America breaking?
Let's bring in Democratic Congressman Richie Torres of New York. I'd like you to respond to that first. You heard Rachel talking with Caddy a little bit about government shutdowns and how they don't really ultimately benefit either party or the one who's in charge. But what's your response to what Republicans are saying right now about this shutdown? Because they're not following all these different conversations about the politics and who's lying. Yeah. They just know the government's shut down. And to your citizens, what do you say?
Look, Democrats are fighting for the health care of the American people. I mean, Democrats are largely in Washington, D.C., intent on reopening the government and protecting the health care of the American people, whereas Republicans are essentially on vacation and have been content to let the government shut down and let millions of people either lose their health care or see their health care costs spiral out of control. So that's the fundamental contrast. And Republicans, the party that has the power ultimately bears the responsibility. The Republican Party controls the White House, the Senate, and the House, and therefore bears ultimate responsibility for the shutdown.
So if Democrats were given to give in to the shutdown, what would happen? And to get the government open again?
Well, what is at stake is not only the government, but our healthcare system is in danger of falling off a cliff. There are 4 million people who are at grave risk of losing their health insurance, 24 million people who are at risk of seeing their premiums rise by as much as 75%. Hospitals, who are often the largest employers in both urban and rural America, are going to see $28 billion in losses. That's a massive destabilization of our healthcare system that Democrats simply cannot accept.
So healthcare, obviously a big part of this, but the White House also making no secret that they plan to take advantage of the shutdown to do some things that they want to do. Mass firings, potentially permanent, unlike furloughs, which is usually what happens in the shutdown. And then we saw the memo from OMB Director Russ Vought yesterday targeting funding for states that Vice President Harris won in last year's election, and talked to us in particular about the impact on New York, where $18 billion worth of projects being canceled.
Wait, Donald Trump has been weaponizing government against his political enemies, engaging in mass firings and funding freezes long before a government shutdown. Like, he's never needed a government shutdown to act like an authoritarian. All we're asking is for the Trump administration and Republicans could come to the table and negotiate a bipartisan compromise that could reopen the government and keep health care affordable. Instead, he's acting like a mobster. He's telling federal employees, that's a nice job you have there. It would be a shame if something had to happen to it. He's saying the same about Gateway and the Second Avenue subway. That is not the behavior of a president. That's the behavior of a mobster. We want a negotiation, not extortion, and we refuse to be extorted. The Affordable Care Act.
Throughout this administration so far, and they basically are saying, so sue us, so take us to court. Let's do the battle there. Do you think this move moves the needle for Democrats in this moment during the shutdown fight? Does it make them more motivated to end the shutdown?
I don't think so. I'm not on Capitol Hill, but I would tell you I think it's the opposite, because you're right that we go to court. Well, we went to court during the first Trump administration. We beat him on this very same idea when he was trying to withhold security funding because of sanctuary city status. This is even bigger, even worse. It's security funding and infrastructure funding. I don't think it stands. I think if you look at the batting average in the courts, the Trump administration has lost on these kind of matters consistently so far. So I truly believe they will not prevail. But in terms of what Democrats are feeling, I think it's showing everyday Americans, New Yorkers, people in Connecticut, people in New Jersey, everyone affected by this directly, that Trump is more interested in his own political needs, his own political agenda, than actually serving people. This is money to actually provide services to people, transportation to people, for example, security to people. I think it makes Trump look even more extremist. And certainly we're seeing more and more in the polling. Not only Democrats, independents and Republicans don't like this extremism coming out of the White House.
Let me just give you a sense of how Americans are viewing this shutdown. A new Washington Post poll finds that significantly more Americans blame President Trump and congressional Republicans than Democrats, 47 to 30%. It's worth noting that 23% say they're not sure who to assign blame to. Among independents, 50% blame Trump and the GOP, 22% fault Democrats, and 29% are not sure. The poll also finds 2/3 very or somewhat concerned about the shutdown, while 34% are not too or not at all concerned. John Hallman, I just want to get your read on those numbers.
Day 3 of the 2025 shutdown hellscape, folks, kicked off October 1st after Congress punted on funding, the first since Trump's epic 35-day disaster in 2018 to 2019. Rep. Richie Torres, DNY, joins the fray on MSNBC, torching Republicans for playing vacation roulette while Dems fight tooth and nail for healthcare sanity. Democrats are reopening government and protecting folks. GOP's chilling on the beach, cool with shutdown chaos and premium spikes. Torres roars, pinning the blame square on the GOP trifecta. White House, Senate, House all red, all responsible. Stakes, sky high, 4 million at risk of losing insurance, 24 million facing 75% premium bombs, hospitals staring down $20 billion in losses. That's not policy. That's a healthcare apocalypse Dems won't swallow. Torres saves his sharpest shade for Trump's thug moves. Rust vault memo targets $26 billion in blue state bucks, $18 billion for NYC Transit Light Gateway, and Second Ave Subway, $8 billion green energy for CA and IL. He's a mobster. Torres thunders, nice job ya got. Shame if something happened. Trump's crew floats permanent firings for $750K feds, ditching back pay norms, turning furloughs into pink slips. House skip town pre-shutdown. Johnson's ghosting screams arrogance. Pulls back the burn. WAPO pegs 47% blaming Trump GOP versus 30% on Dems. Indies at 50 to 22. 2/3 fretting hard, but shutdowns are blips now. Dems flipping the script on GOP's ACA sabotage, debunking immigrant Cadillac care. Whoppers that have haunted Obamacare since day one. Torres nails the human gut punch. Paycheck to paycheck nation means TSA screeners and military skip meals while Pauls bicker. Healthcare's the bankruptcy king. Bronx families can't eat a 75% hike. As NY's poorest district rep, he's got 1,000 plus constituents clinging to ACA credits. Unity. House Dems locked in. Senate wobbles but Torres vows. Fight for ACA or pack it in. What are we here for? Courts. GOP's batting zero on withholding. Dems beat them on sanctuary funds before. Win. Protecting premiums for millions. That's electoral gold. Torres, Israel's fiercest Dem backer post-October 7th, faces shifting sands. Nit Siena, 19% strongly pro-Israel versus 35% anti-aid. War fatigue's toll, with 60% wanting ops halted sans hostages Hamas wipeout. Gallup, 32% back Gaza strikes. Disapproval at 60%. War's the culprit. Secure hostages. End quagmire. Build Abraham Accords peace. Torres urges. An Israeli-Arab thaw amid suffering on both sides. Bronx's Mitchell House's partial collapse October 1st. 20-story chimney implodes from boiler blast on heat season kickoff, ripping a gash in federal niche high-rise home to 3K families. Miracle? 0 injuries, but Torres warns is no fluke. Federal disinvestment's killer. Built 66, chronic boiler woes, stop work orders ignored. Rubble could have been massacre. Shutdown freezes fixes, spotlighting decaying infra as GOP axes funds. This shutdown, not games, is extortion hurting heroes, families, futures. Torres takedown, extortion or essential fight. Shutdown savior or saboteur. Drop your Bronx shutdown rants below. Like if GOP's mob moves boil your blood. Subscribe for real-time rage. And bell up. Save our systems. Share.